Well, hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Blog Rundown, the weekly show from Movie Burning Entertainment where we discuss the latest written reviews from our writing team. What's up first, John?
First up, Stephen, is Suspiria from 2018, of course, not the 1977 Dario Argento one. It is the Luca Guadagnino. I don't want to say remake, Stephen, because as Dave rightly points out in his review, it is not a remake. It is a completely different entity. He's doing his own thing with it, right down to the colour palette and just some apparently big creative choices in terms of script and direction and just gore and things like that. I haven't seen the film myself. I've never seen the original either. I seem to recall the two of us did react to a trailer for this.
Yeah, I recall that, John. I also recall that one of our former writers, George Nash, wrote a review on the original one as well.
Oh, did he?
He did, yeah. I've got a good memory that way.
I don't recall that.
It was maybe, no, we didn't speak. It was maybe about 2 years ago, John. But he was a big fan of the original. I'm the same. I've not seen the original or this version of it. What Dave does say in the review is that he's not going to make comparisons, and sometimes that's wise when you're doing a film that's got apples and oranges. That's self-titled. You know, when you're doing these reviews, is the best thing to do is not compare them. When I did the Halloween film, the 2018 film back in October, I was very conscious of that as well, not comparing that to the original or even comparing it to the Rob Zombie ones, which I hated, but I kept that very brief and very minimal. Dave's done the same here as well, but by all accounts, if you like gore, this is your type of film.
Yeah, well, it's funny you should mention the Rob Zombie one, Stephen, because I actually did look up, I've seen a couple of reviews about this film. I've lost it now, but they say that this film is, they're essentially saying it's not as bad as a Rob Zombie, I should say, not Rod, Halloween remake, but it isn't a great film either. It seems to be getting bashed. I don't know why, because I haven't seen it. Maybe there's a reason behind that. Dave seems to enjoy it a great deal more. Well, I say that a great deal more. I'm looking at Rotten Tomatoes, Stephen, 65% from the critics. It's rated fresh, so they are pretty much in agreement. 6.7 out of 10, that translates to into a sort of a 10 rating scale. The audience have gave it an even more favourable rating of 74%. That equates to a 3.7 out of 5. So it's getting pretty decent ratings. You compare that to the 1977 remake, or the classic I should say, and it is a little bit down on that. 93% from the critics, all critics, 83% from the audience score. So again, Stephen, I guess it just goes back to what we says time and again, remaking these classic films. It's a very tricky business. We spoke about it with Mary Poppins most recently. It's a tricky business taking a classic film for a whole wide variety of reasons. In terms of Mary Poppins, it's an absolute classic musical.
While we're on the subject of horror films, and we're going to be seeing very, you know, in the near distant future, we're going to be seeing this sequel to The Shining as well.
Pet Sematary as well.
Pet Sematary, but the one that popped into my head was the one where they're taking the characters from The Shining. I think Ewan McGregor's appearing in this one.
He's playing the young boy. I forget his bloody name, Stephen.
This is going to be a very hard film to follow on from the original one, because people are naturally going to connect it with the classic film.
And because that original Shining film, Stephen, apparently was one of the worst adapted films ever. Apparently Stephen King, wasn't it?
It was Stephen King,
yeah. He wasn't he wasn't a fan of it at all, because it butchered apparently the original story. This one that's being remade, or this remake or sequel, this is apparently going to be a lot more faithful to the actual novel. I think it's about the son and he's struggling with drinking problems. I don't want to get into that, it's a completely different film. But as I said, Stephen, it's all about, again, these classic remakes, the tricky business of getting it right. I think Luca Guadagnino has done the right thing here by essentially taking the title, taking the same premise. I do believe it's set in a sort of ballet dancing, high-class dancing school in Germany. But there's a strange sort of a phenomenon occurring. It slowly unwinds. I've never seen it, but I have read about the film. I've looked into the trailers and stuff. I think it slowly unwinds just the goings on at this school. It's revealed there's a coven of witches, I do believe. There's witchcraft being practiced, and I think the original was quite violent. It had quite a zany sort of a colour palette and aesthetic to it. This one apparently completely different, and as I did say, without going off on a tangent, Stephen, it seems like that has been the correct decision for Luca, because he's taken a classic horror film from the 1970s, trying to bring it into the 21st century, and to do that you really do have to do your own sort of a take on it, put your own unique sheen on it and do something different to differentiate it from the original, because if you do just an exact remake of the original, it's going to be comparisons galore, and you can't top some of these classic films. We've said it with the likes of Back to the Future, why we don't want a remake.
No,
because they're films of their time, their decade.
I think the director's probably conscious of that as well, John. Yeah. That, he's going to be damned if he does, he's damned if he doesn't, in this case, because I know Dave says that just at the back end of his review that you know, the ones that loved the original 70s one, a lot of people despise this one. So he can't really win.
We've seen it with The Predator, Stephen.
Yeah,
you can't please people who are fans of the original. They will have grown up with that, or maybe watched it when they were in their middle adult years or whatever, and they're just not going to accept a new retake or retelling of the classic story. He does say that it's more unnerving than scary. It's kind of a nightmarish imagery and jarring violence. Apparently not a lot of blood in there though, but just about every other body fluid is coming out.
Listen,
I don't know what to make of that.
That can work with, I don't really regard them as horror films, I regard them more as thrillers. Velvet Buzzsaw was very much like, I know you've not seen that yet, John, but
I need to watch it.
I'll be careful what I say then. It's not really got a lot of jump scare moments in it. The bits that you see in the trailer are the main bits that are in the film. It's more of a thriller and the suspense of what's coming next, you know.
That is right up my street, Stephen, because as you do know, I don't scare very easily. In fact, I don't scare at all 9 times out of 10. So the kind of a cheap parlour tricks, as I like to call them, the jump scares, the non-utilising the sound.
I'm the same, John. I prefer the creepiness of a film like It. I found that more creepy than scary.
I like a good psychological horror, Stephen. It's tense, it's kind of utilising tension and things like that. Claustrophobic settings like The Witch, like Hereditary. What's the other one? Obviously The Shining we were talking about. That's a classic psychological kind of a claustrophobic,
disturbing,
disturbing setting. The rooms are almost changing size, and it's almost like a TARDIS, this hotel. It doesn't look as big from the outside as it is in the inside. Just utilising that. That's of course an absolute classic Stanley Kubrick film. So that's right up my street, Stephen, this being more psychological and not so much relying on the jump scares. I'd probably give it a watch. I think the main reason I've not watched this is just I'm put off by the sheer length of it. I think I'm a fan of fairly normal length horror films. I don't want to say short, 2 hours.
Yeah, I think he says it's half an hour too long, isn't it?
Yeah, I think 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 32 minutes is
long
just
time for that
pushing
type of genre.
Yeah, it's pushing it for a horror film, Stephen. You really need to nail the balance between the character, the subplots, and just get it right, or you're just going to be bogged down with it. And I think that's something you don't want happening in any film. But look, apparently Tilda Swinton is outstanding as well, Stephen. Plays 3 distinct roles, or should I say 3, and doing the Inglourious Basterds. She's playing a male Asian doctor. I don't know how that would work. Try. Yeah, but look,
she's that talented, John. That's how it works.
She is that talented. She's this generation's Eddie Murphy. What can I say, Stephen? But look, Dario Argento didn't care for it himself, but again, he's probably just butthurt that his baby or his story's been remade, and he's not wanting it to be gifted to a new generation. He wants him to go back and watch his film.
Well, I can understand it to a degree, but at the end of the day, if you don't like it, then don't watch it. Simple as that.
That's it, Stephen. I've not got much more to add.
No, I've got nothing more to add, but I'm very much in your camp, John, in this sense of I'd actually prefer to see that one than the original, because I think I might fall into the trap of, if I watched the original first, I would make subconscious comparisons. Unfortunately, that's just human nature.
I did the opposite with Mary Poppins. I watched the original a couple of months before Returns came out, just so I'd get an idea of the vibe. Although I had a fair idea anyway. All those musicals from that kind of a generation.
Although to be fair, the new one is a continuation.
It is a continuation,
so it's not
jarring.
Exactly a remake, but
try to remake it. Look.
I'll move on anyway, John, to the review I wrote just the other day. Actually, it was a film I watched when I was off over the New Year period, and I've just only get around to it. So this is the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, the latest Coen Brothers film, and you know, thingy with Netflix. Starring the likes of Tim Blake Nelson, Willie Watson, Clancy Brown, James Franco, Liam Neeson, Tom Waits, Brendan Gleeson. There's so many in this. The basis of this film and its story, it's actually 6 individual stories that are not interconnected in any way. It's not the Coen Brothers aren't doing a Tarantino here, try to interconnect them into the same sort of storyline.
Different timelines.
They're all set around the same period. It's the Old West, in different locations in the Old West that I don't think it actually tells you exactly whereabouts. But some of the scene, it could be the spaghetti westerns.
Spaghetti westerns,
in Gran Canaria. But
I've been
to that, by the way. The Sioux City, where Clint Eastwood did a few of his films. Oh, it's unbelievable.
Isn't it just odd, though, Stephen?
You do feel like you're in the Wild West.
They call them spaghetti westerns, but quite a large chunk of them were filmed in a Spanish sort of a island.
Paella westerns.
Paella westerns,
doesn't have the same ring, does it?
It doesn't, no, it doesn't work.
But anyway, back to the film review. I thoroughly enjoyed this, John. It's a Coen Brothers film. I love their work. The cast as well, all segmented into their own situations. Some of them spiral out of control. The James Franco ones get a comedic level to it. I don't know if, I say this in my review actually, you know, I'm not sure if the Coen Brothers were going for dark humour. They do like that, but my humour as well at times. I get a kick out of certain things.
Well, Stephen, as you do know, I've seen one of the stories, or a portion of it.
Yeah, Clancy Brown's demise.
Clancy Brown's demise, and the manner of his demise is definitely tinged with a huge chunk of dark humour. Yeah. I mean, kicks the table or something, doesn't he?
Tim Blake Nelson, he's comes in with his white.
Perfectly,
white. He's immaculate, you know, but he's a man not to be trifled with, as you saw.
Yeah, I did, but very small man as well. Against Clancy Brown's towering 6 foot.
And he's one of these actors that the Coen Brothers always rely on as well. He was in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
I think it was, I do.
I've seen that in years, but and I don't really want to break down all the segments, John, but there was a couple of segments that were my favourites. I enjoyed the one with the Liam Neeson, which was it was called The Meal Ticket. I don't really want to get into great depths on what, you know, how it played out. You can read the review. I know you've still to see the film, so I'm trying to be very careful what I say here.
Stephen, you can spoil it, I don't care. You know,
the other one I liked was Gold Canyon, which was the Tom Waits one. That was that was an isolated scenario. He was in as a gold digger looking for gold.
Yeah, that one struck a chord with me, that one more than ever. The guy who's, as she says, I think he's a gold prospector.
That's it, yep.
He's a prospector, but he's very much in... what's the word, Stephen?
He's
kind of connected to the surroundings and the wildlife and stuff.
And you'll see that there's a very short scene in it where you'll get what I mean. It was just quite it just adds to the character, really. You know, that he's not just all ruthless and you know a greedy old man. He does have a tenderness to him as well. The final instalment, The Mortal Remains, as well. Well, that was it reminded me of the opening scenes of The Hateful Eight. It was like sort of in a wagon. A lot of talking going on. Coen Brothers are very much like Tarantino in that sense. They know how to nail dialogue, keep it interesting, keep the characters interesting. But listen, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I wasn't really going into it expecting much because I knew it was a 6-part segmented film. It wasn't going to be flowing as well as, you know, just the one story because it was broken down. But there's some great stories in there, and I do say in my review as well that I wouldn't mind the 6 segments being made into 6 feature films.
Expanded
because I do think they could have pulled that off. I don't think as many directors could have, but the fact that they invest so much in their characters, keep them interesting, the scenarios that they put these characters into keep it entertaining as well. And it's just a great film. It's one that I'm glad to see that it was on Netflix. I do say this in my review that platform gives experienced directors freedom to do lesser projects, if you like, that perhaps Hollywood wouldn't really go for.
No chance now.
You know, they wouldn't really. There'd be too much studio interference. Netflix are more than happy to get the Coen Brothers on board. It's a big name for them, especially with that cast as well. Brendan Gleeson's in there as well, by the way. I never mentioned him, did I?
You mentioned to me before we came on, but
just getting these guys, you know, and ladies involved, these big names, and this production is a big pull for Netflix as well. And that's one of the things I love about Netflix. It's great seeing all these old films, you know, Back to the Future trilogy and all that you can always go back to. But it's great to see some fresh stuff as well. Stuff that you wouldn't normally see that's buried away in some video shop. Well, not video shop, we don't get that anymore, but you know, so it's streaming service.
We're going to get it in March, Stephen, with Captain Marvel. Blockbuster's going to play a prominent part. So we're going to get whisked back to the video shop era. An era close to my heart. I do recall going to Global Video. Not so much Blockbuster back in the 1990s.
I'm giving my age away here. If you did like, 30. John, if you liked, what was the one the Coen Brothers did with...
Stephen, I was just about into various Coen Brothers films here, which
No Country for Old Men.
No Country for Old Men.
It's very much like that.
True Grit is another one.
True Grit,
fantastic western film again. It's different to this one though. You've seen it, Stephen, the likes of Inside Llewellyn Davis with Oscar Isaac. Raising Arizona with Nicolas Cage, one of my favourite Nicolas Cage films.
Oh, that's
their
fantastic,
propensity, Stephen, their ability to create colourful characters who just dominate the screen with their personality. They almost, well, they are 3D because they're humans portraying the characters, but these are lived
real people
and 3D characters. You know, they really pop from the screen. Sometimes you'll watch a film and the characters are just utterly cardboard. They're 2D. They don't resonate with the viewer. Never an issue in the Coen Brothers films, the likes of The Big Lebowski as well, Stephen. With
fantastic,
I mean, the dude. So come on, these guys know how to create great characters. And from my brief brush with this film, obviously the Buster Scruggs titular character played by Tim Blake Nelson, as you did say, he looked a very colourful character indeed. So look, I think this film's going to be packed full to the brim with a whole host of colourful characters and interesting stories. I can't wait to watch it, Stephen, because it's right up my street. I like a good western. I like this idea of compartmentalising all these various different stories, 6 separate stories, packed to the gunnels with an amazing cast and 2 of the best directors of all time. So you can't really ask for more than that, Stephen. And look, man, you talk about running times. As you did say, we were talking about Suspiria, one self-contained story, 2 hours and 32 minutes long. This is essentially 6 individual stories, 2 hours and 13 minutes long. So they've kept it short and succinct, Stephen. It's going to pop. Each individual one's going to have you wanting more. And I'll just end on what you were saying about Netflix. You're absolutely right, Stephen, that Netflix do give filmmakers of various experiences a chance to go on to their platform and produce films that would not get a look in a traditional studio setup, where they're more worried about box office numbers and getting people into the cinemas. And they'll interfere and meddle. We've seen it with Warner Brothers and the DC, meddling, trying to change the tone and the running times. So this is one of the great things about Netflix. We've seen it with Alfonso Cuarón, that bloody Norwegian one with the bomb. They're getting a degree, I can't remember the guy's name, who's a really respected filmmaker, but they're getting really respected filmmakers to come on and make films for them now, original content, and a whole host of incredible actors as well. I'll quickly finish on the Oscars. I did bring up the Oscar nominations. This film has 2 Oscar nominations, Stephen. Best Adapted Screenplay, Ethan Coen and Joel Coen. I don't think it will win it. I don't know if Roma is in the best adapted or original. I think that might be an original screenplay, so it may have a chance of nicking it without looking at the other films in that category. And then obviously best costume design, Mary Sofres is the nominee. And again, you were talking about Buster Scruggs with his immaculate white attire, Stephen.
Very
again, nailed the period sort of a setting with the costume design and set design. So one that's up my street, can't wait to see it. Without gibbering on any longer.
Listen, I'll just end on this, John. A couple of months ago on our audio shows, we were talking about the Disney streaming service. You know, it's fast approaching its release, and I flippantly did say that, you know, when that comes out, I'm going to be, you know, maybe unsubscribing from Netflix. If Netflix can keep producing films like this, Velvet Buzzsaw, Polar
was outstanding,
films like that.
I even watched IO, Stephen, that other one we reacted to. I can't recall who was in it. Two actors, and it was a post-apocalyptic setting. The oxygen in Earth was failing, and people were getting wished off to Io, the Jupiter moon, and that was a brilliant little, interesting story as well.
And
so
if they keep doing this, John, they'll keep my subscription. It's as simple as that.
We were just talking about it, Stephen. The subscriber numbers going up and up and up. So,
but listen, that brings us to the end of this week's blog rundown. We'd just like to thank you once again for joining us, and we'll be back again tomorrow with the Force Friday show.